if, in fact, the Democratic Party takes over the House of Representatives in November, what's going to happen to this momentum that has been generated by a Republican-controlled House of Representatives with regard to the UFO disclosure? There's still every reasonable chance to understand that we can advance the issue of UFO disclosure.
My name is Danny Sheehan. I'm a constitutional litigator who's worked some of the most important cases in modern American history. From Pentagon Papers, the Watergate scandal, to Iran-Contra. My legal career has led me now to this pivotal moment. As our human family confronts the implications of the existence here on our planet of extraterrestrial or extra-dimensional non-human species. I will be your guide as we dive into the profound philosophical, theological, and public policy questions pertaining to the UFO phenomenon, alien life, and the citizen movement for disclosure. This is the Full Disclosure Podcast, coming to you from the New Paradigm Institute on SpectraVision Radio.
We again came right to the very knife's edge within a matter of a few hours before Donald Trump had threatened to recommence his bombing of the nation of Iran back into the Stone Age, quote, where it belongs, unquote, and to totally eliminate the great Persian civilization from the earth. He, at the last minute, has recanted and he's stepped back and he's now extended his unilaterally declared ceasefire on the war against Iran. He is now citing the fractured nature of the leadership of the Iranian government, asking them to get together to propose a unified peace proposal, a comprehensive peace proposal, which will cover their renunciation of any desire ever to acquire nuclear weapons, and also to open the Straits of Hormuz and to agree not to ever blockade them again. And the challenge, of course, is that he's got a series of a total of 15 major demands that he has set forth as requiring Iran to comply with before he will permanently end the war against them. And Iran has not agreed to accept any of those yet. Okay, but the negotiation is being requested again by Pakistan. So that event is taking place right here, just the last minute stopping of this massive increase in the bombing again. Israel has launched another missile attack against Gaza, killing a significant number of additional civilians. And the West Bank is still being invaded by a number of Israeli settlers, tearing down the homes of Palestinians and settling those areas. And Israel is still leaning in. They have a temporary ceasefire with Hezbollah over in Lebanon, but they are, in fact, Israel is demanding basically seizing control of all of southern Lebanon, where they're going to set up a buffer zone there, patrolled and controlled by the state of Israel, to prevent any other repeat of the October 7th, 2023 attack that was launched against them. All of this is going on while Pope Leo XIV is issuing public statements on his tour of Africa against the war that's been mounted against Iran. And the activities that are being mounted against Gaza. He has actually issued a statement saying that in response to Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of War of the United States, and Donald Trump soliciting people, praying for our military victory over Iran. Pope Leo XIV issued a statement saying that God does not answer the prayers of those who wage war. And he has publicly condemned a force-backed diplomacy where you're threatening to bomb someone out of existence unless they enter into a treaty agreeing with all the points you demand. As you know, Donald Trump has struck back against Pope Leo and criticizing him, as so as Hegseth. So this is mounting a major brewing confrontation between Pope Leo and Trump over this issue of the just war theory, therefore bringing into a sharper focus the issue of the Catholic social doctrines opposing aggressive war and opposing first strike nuclear weapons, declaring the bishops, U.S. Council of Catholic Bishops, having declared the mere possession of nuclear weapons being a mortal sin because they are inherently designed to attack civilian populations in complete violation of the just war theory. This is all heating up now, lending an additional dimension to the rising resistance to Donald Trump and his authoritarian activities here in the United States that are being recognized now more and more to the point where it's clear now that the House of Representatives elections that are going to be coming up in November, just 7 months away now, that there's now a projection of over an 85% probability that the Democratic Party is going to take over the House of Representatives. Just from a strictly 501c3 public policy point of view, the potential impact of a Democratic Party takeover of the House of Representatives, and examining somewhat just from a public policy point of view, the fact that there is now a 47% chance that the Democratic Party may take over the Senate as well, which of course means that there's a 53% probability that the Republican Party will retain control of the United States Senate. And in this context, there's a major fight that's heating up on the national level. The state of Texas, as you know, has the legislature, a Republican-dominated legislature in Texas, has ordered the redistricting of all of the congressional districts in the state of Texas to increase by 5 the number of now Republican-dominated districts. The state of California has retaliated themselves, passing a resolution to redistrict the state of California to give it an additional 5 Democratic seats to offset Texas. Now, Missouri and North Carolina are also discussing in Republican-dominated states redistricting their states to eliminate a number of the Missouri, for example, an additional 5 Democratic seats. In Florida in Ohio are considering the same. Now, there's going to be an election this evening, actually. Here on the 21st of April, there's going to be a major election in the state of Virginia. So when you get to see this, you will probably know what the outcome of that election is, and the probabilities are quite high that the Democrats are going to pass a resolution in the state of Virginia in the legislature agreeing to redistrict the congressional districts in Virginia to give a lead to the Democrats in controlling the seats. They now control 6 of the 11 seats in the state of Virginia. If their redistricting goes through, that they will control 10 of the 11 districts, giving them a 4-seat pickup. So all of this extraordinary activity is going on right now, not only on the international and national level, but in the political arena. So how does all of this affect the issue of UFO disclosure that we're so dedicated to here at the New Paradigm Institute? And those of you who are listening to the Full Disclosure podcast on a regular basis, that I guess that the most accurate way to describe the present status of the UFO disclosure process is it's sort of treading water at the moment. That Tim Burchett, the well-known spokesperson in the House of Representatives over the UFO disclosure issue, is actually expressing some continuing pessimism about this. He's saying that he's quite confident that the United States Pentagon and the intelligence agencies are going to continue to block and delay any real revelations at all until it can get everything covered back up to basically stave off any kind of significant disclosure until they've been successful in tamping down this major citizen movement going on in the country for disclosure. Now, this is in the face of Donald Trump having issued a statement, again, just this week, stating in a public forum that he would soon be releasing a number of UFO files. Our position at the New Paradigm Institute is do not hold your breath waiting for this to happen. Donald Trump had said he was going to be issuing an order, going to, in the future, be issuing an order to the Department of War and the other executive branch agencies, ordering them to start to identify these documents. And as we reviewed just last week, none of them are doing this. Hegseth, at the Secretary of Defense, has stated that he has not done anything at all about this. This is not even on his bingo card, as he said. As we know, Vice President J.D. Vance has stated that in light of how busy he is going back and forth on all these negotiations with Iran, that he has not even gotten a peek at any of this process yet. And we've not heard anything more from the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, though he was a major proponent of UFO disclosure. Since having become the Secretary of State, we've heard virtually nothing from him about this anymore. He's sort of on board with whatever it is that Donald Trump wants to do. So Donald Trump is going to be doing this on again, off again thing, just like he is with the Jeffrey Epstein documents. He's going to announce whenever it's to his advantage that, oh, he's going to be ordering the release of all the Jeffrey Epstein files. But when he starts to discover that he is in the files repeatedly, he's now given instructions to the Justice Department to refuse to produce these. These are being extracted one document at a time, basically, trying to get through the excisions that are being made in the documents by the Justice Department. Now the head of the Justice Department has been fired, and there's a new fellow that's come on board, as we know, who is the personal criminal defense attorney for Donald Trump. We've reviewed this. So I'm saying Donald Trump announcing again this week that he is going to be soon releasing information about the UFO issue is not something that one can really take to the bank. Anna Paulina Luna, who chairs the task force on the disclosure, basically the declassification of government secrets in the House Oversight Committee, has announced that she's going to be asking James Comer, who is the chairman, President Republican chairman of the House Oversight Committee, for the issuance of subpoenas demanding the 46 videos that have been shown to some of the members of Congress but are being withheld from the public. She has demanded that they be turned over by April 14th. Here it is, April 21st, and they've not been turned over at all. So she is now going to be asking James Comer for subpoenas. Now, he has not, up to this point in time, agreed to issue any subpoenas to the task force on declassification, even with regard to the Epstein files. So what had to be done by the House Oversight Committee was to get a full vote of the entire membership of the House of Representatives on a transparency bill to compel the public release of at least some of the Epstein files. But there's still 2.5 million documents that are still being withheld in the Epstein files. In spite of the fact that there's been a command issued by the House of Representatives and the Congress in the Senate demanding the immediate release of all the documents. So we see this war going on, this constitutional struggle going on between the Congress and the executive branch over extracting these documents, which this present administration doesn't want revealed. Now, this clearly extends to not only the 2.5 million documents in the Epstein files that are still being withheld, but virtually all of the UFO files are still being withheld. They're trickling out through the Arrow office, the All Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, vague, distant little pictures of anomalous activity, all of which they explain away. That's basically what they're doing. Again, it's copying the protocols of Project Blue Book, that they will release information about the sightings that they have then been able to at least theoretically explain away as something else. But just like the Project Blue Book concealed over 700 files that they couldn't explain in any way at all, and they just hid them. And the same thing is still going on. Now, the Arrow office is basically continuing to conceal any and all information that it cannot explain away. And that's why we've mentioned before, the whistleblowers don't trust the Arrow board, and they've stopped basically going to them. So this is the process that's going on at the present time. Eric Davis, though, very importantly, Eric Davis is the top engineer inside the intelligence community in the Defense Department, engaged in the process of reverse engineering the UFO technologies that have been recovered already. And you'll remember that there's the famous Wilson Davis memo, in which he had taken notes of a meeting that he had had with Admiral Wilson, in which Wilson admitted to Eric Davis that he had attempted, as the J2, the head of intelligence for the Joint Chiefs of Staff and military staff, to try to get access to the UFO information, and he'd been turned away, specifically by the head of a major private aerospace corporation, who said that they had information about this, but they refused to give it to him, even as the head of intelligence for the Joint Chiefs of Staff. But this same man, Eric Davis, is the man who, in the November 21st, 2025 release of The Age of Disclosure, the 90-minute special documentary film that interviewed 34 of the people that are deep inside the government UFO program, telling the world that this was all true. And going into some detail about it, Eric Davis was the person who, in that documentary, revealed a very important piece of information, which he had made available now for all of the people that were willing to go to Amazon Prime and either rent or purchase a copy of the Age of Disclosure. He recounted in that particular film a specific piece of information, which he has now gone public with on a major interview. He was an interview with Jeffrey Mishlove, his Thinking Aloud. And now Eric Davis has come forward and repeated that information now for an even larger audience. And this is his revelation of the fact that he was told in a face-to-face private discussion by President George H.W. Bush, that George H.W. Bush confirmed to Dr. Eric Davis that back on April 26th of 1964, 3 UFOs arrived at the Holloman United States Air Force Base in New Mexico. 3 of them approached and hovered over the tarmac, and the UFO in the middle descended and landed on the tarmac. And out of that vehicle got a 5.5, almost 6 foot tall humanoid, non-human being in a tight-fitting uniform, who had a strange device in his hand that was a translator, apparently, a translation technology, but that he went into, he was met on the tarmac by 2 uniformed, high-ranking United States Air Force officers, and 2 plainclothes men whom we believe were CIA officers. And they went into a nearby hangar and actually communicated largely telepathically and for some significant amount of time. And then the non-human being, came out of the hangar, got back in the craft, and his craft ascended and joined the other 2 that had remained hovering over the tarmac for this entire period of time. And then they just shot out of sight. So this is a very extraordinary piece of information that Dr. Eric Davis has now conveyed once again in an even more public setting. And so that's a major advance here in just this past week. Congressman Eric Burleson as you know, is still going forward, pushing forward, going to different sites around the United States where he has been told there is clear physical evidence proving that we have one or more non-human extraterrestrial spacecraft in our possession. And so he's continuing to be the hero of this entire effort, as Congresswoman Luna turns her full attention to getting the Epstein files released. It is Congressman Eric Burlison who has taken the lead in pushing forward to get the UFO information released. The question is that if, in fact, the Democratic Party takes over the House of Representatives in November and is sworn in January of 2027, what's going to happen to this momentum that has been generated by a Republican-controlled House of Representatives led by Congressman Burleson with regard to the UFO disclosure? That I think we have some very good news in that regard, because as it turns out that even assuming that the Democrats take over in November, the person who's going to ascend to the chairmanship of the House Oversight Committee to take James Comer's place uh, is going to be Robert Garcia. And Robert Garcia, congressman from California, has in fact publicly called for the full disclosure of the UFOs information. He has in fact authored a bill that he introduced in the House of Representatives calling for the passage of the full UAP Disclosure Act that was passed by the United States Senate back in 2023. So this is a very good sign. And importantly as well, inside the House Oversight Committee that would be then chaired by Robert Garcia, a major supporter of UAP disclosure, the person who's going to become the ranking member beneath him in that whole task force. Now, on the task force, a member of the task force on declassification of government secrets, which is leading the way inside the House Oversight Committee on this, on UFO disclosure, Raja Krishnamurthy is going to become the ranking Democrat inside that task force, and taking the place of Jasmine Crockett, who gave up her seat in the House of Representatives to run for the United States Senate in Texas. And so that Raja Krishnamurthy will ascend to be the ranking member in that task force, and he is now already on record as having specifically stated that he supports full disclosure of the UFO issue. He was interviewed, in fact, on a live television show out in Chicago, where his house seat is, and he committed on national television that if in fact he is elected, he will support the full disclosure of the UFO information. So this is all extremely good news that we have. So it leads us to the more general question of what does the foreseeable future look like here with all of this turmoil going on the international level, with the war in Iran, the renewed bombing of Gaza, the military operations of Israel in Lebanon that are all going on, the potential threat on the part of Donald Trump to bomb a great civilization into oblivion, if he doesn't get his way, the Pope actually intervening and basically publicly condemning this aggressive war mounted by Donald Trump. And we have this turmoil going on with regard to the upcoming elections now within 7 months. We're almost down to a 6-month period. We're entering into the final primary stages now. The primary elections are being held by both the Republican and Democratic Party, as well as some of the smaller parties, the Green Party, the Liberal Party in New York. They're all picking their candidates right now. And the New Paradigm Institute has now begun the distribution of the cards to be signed by all of the candidates committing to support full disclosure of the UFO information if they are elected. And therefore, if any of these candidates refuse to sign such a pledge, these pledge cards, then we are going to be completely free under all the rules of a 501c3 public interest organization to publicly reveal the identities of these candidates who refuse to commit to full disclosure on the UFO issue. The point is that 501c3 public interest organizations, such as our New Paradigm Institute, which is a wholly integrated auxiliary program of our Romero Institute, which is a 40-year, fully qualified 501c3 public interest organization, which is explicitly authorized by the Internal Revenue Code to speak out on public policy issues. We cannot become directly involved in individual campaigns in advocating the election of one candidate over another. What we can do, however, is that we can openly advocate that you support candidates for elected office who support our public policy positions. Okay. And in this particular case, the question arises is that if, in fact, the Democratic Party takes over control of the House of Representatives, I've touched upon a few of the changes that will be taking place here, that Robert Garcia would actually ascend to be the head of the House Oversight Committee. Okay. Actually, the other one, Jamie Raskin, is also on that committee. If Jamie Raskin were to choose to be the chair of that, he would be the ranking member. Either way, whether it's Garcia or Jamie Raskin, both of them support UFO full disclosure. And so what we're really looking at here right now is that it looks like what's getting ready to happen is the Democrats are going to come into control of the House of Representatives. And so that what we're going to be doing is saying, look, even the Republican controlled Senate is supportive of a bill to publicly release the information about UFOs. The Senate already passed that back in 2023. And they're going to be supportive of it again. And if the Democrats take over the control again of the Senate, then obviously Chuck Schumer would become the majority leader again. He was the co-author of the UFO disclosure bill. But if in fact the only 47% chance that the Democrats are going to win continues to hold, and the Republicans hold control of that, the people that we're going to be going to try to take a leadership role in even a Republican-controlled Senate are going to descend from Mike Rounds. Rounds is not carrying the ball on this. Mike Rounds was just interviewed again this week, and he is saying things like, well, his major concern about the UFO thing is that it may be a threat to national security, and that it may well be Chinese. He said he's kind of flogging that particular issue, and is pointing out, secondly, that, well, what this may be is it may be just some kind of a hoax. The whole UFO issue may just be a hoax that's been manufactured by the American intelligence community and military intelligence to conceal some sophisticated weapon systems that the United States has developed completely out of its own mother wit, without any kind of assistance from any extraterrestrial technology. So I mean, Michael Rounds is not going to be an adequate champion for this in the Senate if the Republicans gain control or maintain control of the Senate. But that passage, that leadership could pass to Todd Young of Indiana. Todd Young of Indiana has actually been supportive of particular, for example, UFO whistleblower protection. He's been a supporter of this, so he could ascend into a leadership role to co-sponsor, along with Chuck Schumer and Senator Gillibrand from New York, and others, to take a leadership role in this, or even possibly Josh Hawley. Josh Hawley from Missouri. He has a staff that is extremely well informed about the UFO issue. And just to give you a little tip, Josh Hawley is one of the Republicans that's considering running for the Republican nomination. Obviously, Marco Rubio is going to be one of the ones running for the presidential nomination, along with J.D. Vance. But Josh Hawley is considering doing that as well. But he has a very sound staff there that is knowledgeable about the UFO issue. So there are other potential leaders, even in the Republican Party, if they stay in charge in the House of Representatives. And one final person, kind of a surprise person, is Roger Wicker. Roger Wicker is the Republican senator from Mississippi. He actually called me on the telephone personally to ask about this, to get briefed up about the UFO issue. And I've reassured him that there's important information that needs to be publicly revealed, and that he has to get himself thoroughly informed about all of this. He was really quite resentful about the senators not being given this information. So one of the things that our New Paradigm Institute has advocated is that all of the members of the Senate be provided information, all of this information about the UFOs. Okay, so there is a hope here. If in fact the probabilities that are presently operational hold all the way through, in 7 months in political time is an eternity. That all kinds of things could change dramatically. The probabilities of the Democrats winning the Senate could go way higher. The probabilities of the Democrats taking over the House of Representatives could get smaller, depending upon what happens in the next 7 months. But as things presently stand, and the Democrats take over control of the House, and the Republicans, by a narrow vote, hold control of the Senate, there's still every reasonable chance to understand that we can advance the issue of UFO disclosure. So we want you all to reach out, if you haven't become a member yet, of the Citizens for Disclosure in your area, in your state. We've now got 43 states where we have teams of Citizens for Disclosure functioning to reach out to their House of Representatives members and to their United States senators to demand that any person running for the United States Senate or running for the United States House of Representatives sign the pledge card, so that they will publicly pledge to support the passage of legislation demanding the full disclosure of the UFO information. Okay. Join your Citizens for Disclosure, participate in making sure that every single one of the candidates in this extremely fluid situation that's approaching the upcoming elections, as a matter of simple public policy, will support full disclosure of the UFO information. Okay, this is the request coming to you from the New Paradigm Institute. We are coming to you from SpectraVision Radio. This is Dan Sheehan. I'll see you again next week.
To join the citizen movement for disclosure, visit newparadigminstitute.org/take action.